Welcome back to pewterpirates.ocm. This is an extra slice. I am Mike Nabors along with our Buccaneer insider, Mr. Roy Cummings. How about this? The Buccos, 2 wins in a row, and for the second straight week, turnovers a big part of the equation. You know, Roy, the defense has been preaching this during the turnover drought. They come in bunches. Well, they came in bunches against Carolina.
Yeah, they did. And, you know, what was interesting is Dirk Cutter kind of said this in the post-game press conference. He said, our role players today were our stars. And in a lot of ways, that's the case. Andrew Adams, who a lot of people didn't even know was on this football team today, playing kind of a hybrid role. He's playing a little bit of safety, a little bit of linebacker, comes up with 3 picks. The first guy since Aqib Talib back in 2009. To get 3 picks in a game for the Buccaneers. And then Javian Elliott gets a pick. So 4 picks for the Buccaneers. And let's not leave out the fact that a lot of those picks came as a result of the extra pressure from the defensive line making plays, blitzes working today. It was really a good, strong effort by the defense because the offense had a little bit of trouble getting in a rhythm. So today was a day they needed to lean on the defense. And guess what? The defense was there to be leaned on in a good way.
Mark Duffner took over this defense about a month ago from Mike Smith, and many wondered what kind of impact would that be? Well, you had a chance to talk to the players after this game because clearly it's been an impact.
Yeah, it has, and the simplest way to explain what's different now is that they've simplified the defense. They're playing a lot more basic coverages now. You're going to see the Bucs playing a lot, even though fans hate this, they're playing a lot more cover 2, which is basic stuff for the safeties, basic stuff for the corners. It's a zone scheme. A lot fewer checks. Talking to guys today, so many fewer checks. One player told me today they might call 1 check a game now on the defense, whereas before they were calling 1 or 2 every series. And now maybe you might get 1 or 2. They're basically just leaning on what the players do well, letting them play in positions that allow them to succeed. It's kind of like the old Bill Belichick approach to coaching. You get guys out there and say, okay, this is what you do exceptionally well. We're going to put you in on downs where you can do that. And that's kind of how they won today because, again, guys like Javian Elliott, Andrew Adams, put in positions where they can succeed. That's what you want to do as a coach. That's what Mark Duffner is doing with this defense right now. He's putting these guys in positions where individually they can succeed, and as a group they're succeeding in a high way.
And you mentioned the quarterbacks, but really every part of this defense was effective against Carolina. I mean, the pass rush was there. We saw guys like Kevin Minter, who's been off and on the roster for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, have a big play in this game, and Levante David also had one as well. As a unit, they're playing well.
They are, and one of the things that the players really like about what Mark Duffner's brought is he's brought a real new sense of aggressiveness and energy to the defense. Players do feed off of that. I've never been one to really think that, how worked up a coach gets makes that much of a difference, especially at the pro level. But you know what? When you've got a lot of young guys, it matters. You can't just be cerebral all the time. It's got to be about going out and hitting somebody and playing hard and playing fast, and that's what Mark Duffner's brought. Look, I was one of those who didn't think that the change of coordinators and necessarily the change in schemes were going to make that much of a difference. I knew that simplifying the defense would change things in time because it takes time for the young players in particular to understand these schemes and get a little bit more acclimated to the NFL, the pace of the play. That's happened. Now that it's happened, everything's coming together, and this defense is working under Mark Duffner. Makes you wonder, what's the future of Mark Duffner with this football team? And really, the way they're playing right now, what's the future of Dirk Cutter? It may not be as bleak as a lot of people thought a while back.
And Dirk Cutter did not want to let go of Mike Smith, the guy he has a great relationship with a lot of respect for, has been coaching with him for many years. You talk about Andrew Adams, the last guy to have 3 picks in a game for the Bucs, Aqib Talib. My favorite stat on Andrew Adams, he had 3 picks in this game. That's more than Darrelle Revis had in his 1 season here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But we're not done with Roy Cummings. We're going to break down a nice day for the Bucs offense. But first, let's hear from our co-title sponsor, House of Brews. There are a lot of neighborhood bars, but there is only one.
House of Brews!
It's now better than ever, freshly remodeled with a new U-shaped bar, where it's clear everybody's having fun at the
House of Brews!
Armed with a full liquor and wine selection, House of Brews houses a large selection of brews. But come on, this place is more than brews. The food takes it to a whole different level. A fresh daily scratch menu serves up a wide variety of favorites, leaving customers always satisfied at the
House of Brews.
Not your average neighborhood bar. Oh, it's so much more. All right, we're back here on Extra Slice here on pewterpirates.ocm. We talk defense. Royals talk offense for the second straight game. No turnovers from Jameis Winston.
Yeah, really, another solid game from Jameis Winston. I mean, not as exceptional as the game a week ago, but still, when you have no turnovers, that's a good thing. And today, some people might be disturbed a little bit by the fact that he actually took a couple of sacks to avoid turnovers. But you know what? Dirk Cutter's happy with that. You don't want to take a sack either. But he was under pressure a lot today, and in some of those cases, that pressure got on him quick. And instead of trying to make a play that wasn't there, he said, "Okay, you know what? Take a sack, live for the next down." That's learning. That's development in football. So, yeah, a real good game from Jameis Winston. You know what was interesting is his fourth touchdown, or one of his touchdowns, came on his fourth read. This is the one to Chris Godwin. You and I were watching the game and thinking, boy, that's one of the best touchdown passes we've seen Jameis Winston throw. And it was on his fourth read, actually. So another good game from Jameis Winston, who actually, by the way, also led this team in rushing today. So that gives you an idea just how much pressure he was under.
And Jameis Winston with that touchdown pass past Josh Freeman has more touchdown passes than any quarterback in Buccaneer history. Speaking of wide receivers, Deshaun Jackson now playing in this game. I thought this offense a lot better without Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, you know, you and I were talking during the game, and you brought this up, and you're under the belief, and I'm going to agree with you, that I think what happens when Deshaun Jackson is in the lineup is I think Jameis Winston feels some kind of pressure to get the ball to him, and I think he kind of changes his mindset. Instead of going through his progressions naturally, I think he's looking more for, how can I get the ball to Deshaun Jackson? I'm sure they want to get it to him, but you really got to let things just play out naturally. Look, it's very interesting. Jameis Winston seems to have a great chemistry with Mike Evans, Adam Humphries, Cameron Brate, Chris Godwin, the other team, far often than you want to see it. But he doesn't have a good chemistry with Deshaun Jackson. Why? Could it have anything to do with the fact that Deshaun Jackson didn't show up last year for OTAs very much? When he got here for mandatory minicamp and then training camp, he ended up having to have crib notes in his socks, literally, because he didn't know the plays. Look, Jameis Winston has worked very hard at developing a good, solid working chemistry with everybody on this team, including Deshaun Jackson. He's the one guy he doesn't seem to have a good chemistry with. I got to think that's all on Deshaun Jackson. What does it mean for Deshaun Jackson's future? I'm not sure we see him the rest of this year, and if we don't see him the rest of this year, why would we see him next year?
We've talked about in our podcast the effect of Deshaun Jackson. I've said it months ago, wish they would have traded him. Maybe they could get a third-round pick for him. But I like Jameis Winston kind of brought a lot of demographics together, quoting High School Musical after the game, saying the vibe with this offense, we're all in this together. If you like High School Musical, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, let's talk about the Bucs are not in last place. We're going to revisit the perspective on this team as New Orleans comes calling next week, right after this. Now, you want a drinking and dining experience like no other in Tampa Bay? Well, Sea Dog Brewing Company is the place for you. Its Treasure Island location gives its patrons a beautiful waterfront view with 6 brand new boat slips and more to come. This Sea Dog location has a great selection with local brews, all made in clear water, and the specials. You have daily happy hour Monday through Friday from 2 to 6. Mug Club Monday features $6 mules. Taco Tuesdays are always popular, but don't pass up the $9.99 Fish Fry Thursdays. And on the weekends, enjoy a Sea Dog Brewery Sunday brunch by the beach. So check out Sea Dog Brewery at Treasure Island, 9610 Gulf Boulevard, Treasure Island, Florida, 727-954-7805. Oh, we appreciate our friends at Sea Dog Brewing Company and, of course, House of Brews. And I promise I won't sing anymore. But how about this, Roy Cummings? Carolina's lost 4 in a row. The Atlanta Falcons have lost 4 in a row. The Bucs have won 2 straight. The Saints have a 1-game losing streak right now. They come calling next week here at Raymond James Stadium, the 3rd straight home game. The Bucs have a real chance to make some waves with this game.
They really do. We talked about it last week after they won against the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of people thought, oh, so you beat the 49ers. Big deal, right? Yeah, it is a big deal. You know why? Because it breeds confidence. It was a complete football game that they played last week, and another complete game today. This team is confident right now. They know that they're out of last place. They're feeling good about that. There's a lot to feel good about this team right now. The defense has come alive. We'll talk about that more in our podcast, which you'll talk about here in a second. But this team has come alive. It's alive. It's playing good football. There's a chance they could still be in this wild card race. It's too soon to count this team out.
They went out. They have a winning record. 9 wins, but they have to first get past the New Orleans Saints, who are going to be an angry football team coming in here after the Cowboys broke their 10-game winning streak. Well, If you don't get enough out of this extra slice, log on to pewterpirates.com. We have a podcast, A Few Extra Bucks. You'll hear from Vinny Curry, you'll hear from Chris Godwin, and you'll hear from the man of the hour, Andrew Adams. Sounds like a former president. But we'll hear from all of those guys, plus we'll have our takes on the Bucs, looking back and, of course, looking forward.